Welcome to An Hour to Give. I'm Sam Laprade. We're going to talk all about the Snowsuit Fund today, and you're going to hear some stories that might surprise you. We're going to start today with Martin Mass. Hello, Martin. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
You are the chair of the Snowsuit Fund, volunteer position, of course.
Yep.
That's a big job you have because, of course, inspiring the community to give year over year to ensure all of those little ones are bundled up nice and warm. Is it an honor to have that role?
Yeah, it is quite an honor. It's a responsibility and an honor, and I'm very glad to be taking over. I'm starting fresh. It's my first year as chair, and I'm very happy to be taking it on.
Over 16,000 families relying on the Snowsuit Fund to ensure not just a snow. I don't think it is just a snowsuit. I think you're giving kids a whole winter experience. By allowing them to be nice and bundled, they get to play with their friends and do all those things that you and I did when we were that age.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Ottawa, and anyone who's spent even just a winter in Ottawa realizes how important it is to be warm. And as a kid, not being warm can be a real barrier to joining your friends, getting out there, being just part of the community. So, you know, one of our mandates is to make sure that kids are warm. That's giving warmth to kids is what we do, and we've been doing it for 43 years. We're going into our 43rd season, so it's really a really unique need in Ottawa, and the Snowsuit Fund is really unique in the way that it services the community.
And it's no surprise, Martin, to anyone that's listening, watching us right now, times are tough for families. I mean, there's no two ways about it. I'm on different moms groups, and I'm talking to people in the community. The grocery bill is getting bigger, the heating bill, all of those issues that they have in their home. That snowsuit may be something that they just can't afford, especially if they've got a couple of kids. Walk me through how the Snowsuit Fund works.
Yeah, so what we do is, we're a community-based organization. We don't have any government funding, so we rely on the community to help support us in terms of both individuals and the corporate community to help us. And what we do is we gather money, and then we provide new snowsuits to kids from 0 to 15, so that they can participate in winter activities and to provide them the ability to go outside. I mean, we source these new from a bunch of suppliers that we have. Our office, our general manager, Joanne Andrews, has an excellent relationship with a bunch of suppliers. And one of the main things that we do is we help families with that decision. If you can imagine a family of 4 or with 4 kids, a family with 2 or 3 kids, that snowsuit can be a real important expense every year. Absolutely. We take that burden, that decision off of their shoulders so that they can focus on other things, meeting the needs of their kids in other ways. And by doing that, we make sure that the kids get new snowsuits, and that the snowsuits work, they're warm, and that it allows them to go out and enjoy our winters here in Ottawa.
And here's what I love, and I want to make sure every time I do an interview about the Snowsuit Fund, I cannot say this enough. What I love is that when you look on a playground, you are not able to say, that's a snowsuit from the Snowsuit Fund. Kids are picking their own colors, they're picking their own styles. So it's the dignity of choice. And I value that so much, Martin.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I mean, having it new and having a choice are two things that are really fundamental to the way that we operate. I mean, one of the best days we have as board members, we do a lot. We're a lot of demands on our time, but the best day is the volunteer day. We rely on volunteers. We log about 2,200 hours of volunteer hours a year. But that day when you are there giving the snowsuits to the kids and them being able to choose between different new snowsuits, knowing that they're going to go use them is just the best day. I mean, seeing them, they're so happy. that day alone makes all the work that we do as board members worth it. And like you said, they get to choose. And then when they go on the playground, no one is saying, oh, that's a snowsuit that comes from the Snowsuit Fund, because we have different models, different brands even, and so that they can choose, and different sizes, so that kids can go out and have that dignity of choice when they come in.
I love it. I love it so much. We spoke a lot about the volunteers. You've got a small but mighty team that you talked about, brilliant GM that you've had for many, many years. But very grassroots. This organization has stayed grassroots. I think that's the beauty of this organization.
Yeah.
But you brought these incredible partners, and a few we want to mention here. Giant Tiger, Hear Me Roar. I love Giant Tiger. I think they're fantastic. The Sens Community Foundation, under the leadership of Jacqueline Belcito, doing wonderful work there. We've got Tim Hortons, Ottawa Owners, those Smile cookies.
Right.
I've had a few. Is that okay, Martin? Is that okay if I order them by the box?
Yeah.
That's okay. Okay,
That's
fantastic.
great. We encourage it.
We know how important they are, and I think about just isolating one person, Susan Dennison, who has been an incredible leader. She even put that cookie costume on for me one day. I thought that was amazing. And those are those opportunities to really recognize these partners as well today. Yeah,
well, that's true. I mean, we are grassroots, and if you go through the list of what you indicated, all of those groups have a strong connection to Ottawa. The Snowsuit Fund there are other snowsuit funds, but they're not the same, and they're not as big as Ottawa. It's really an Ottawa thing. It's really concrete. We really directly impact kids in our community. And you see that in our partners. The partners that we have are fantastic partners. And they have, all of them have a local connection. So they see the Snowsuit Fund as being a really integral part of the Ottawa community, and they come and assist us. And as you mentioned, like Giant Tiger, fantastic Ottawa success story, and they've been with us from the beginning, or nearly from the beginning, and the Tim Hortons owners and Susan leading that charge has been fantastic. I mean, she's just, And more recently, we've always had a good connection to the Ottawa Senators, but in the past couple of years with Jacqueline Belcito's assistance, we've been able to strengthen that link, and the new owners have spent time in our depot handing out snowsuits, and so the Anlauers are big supporters, and we're really grateful to have their support. Oh, you just made my whole day. That's amazing. I love that. Now, I know this feels like a full-time job that you do here as chair of the Snowsuit Fund, but of course, Norton Rose Fulbright is your full-time job. Right. Why is it so important to see them on board as well? Well, we're a global firm, and we have offices around the world. We have offices across Canada, but at the end of the day, we work in our local office. And as part of our community engagement, our corporate engagement, we really saw the Snowsuit Fund as something that really gave us an ability to give back to the Ottawa community and build connections within the Ottawa community. So it's just been a great partnership, and we've supported, for example, the Snowsuit Ball. We're a major sponsor. That's one of the key signature events that we have throughout the year, and we really see, I mean, there's obviously a connection to the people who attend those things, but mainly it's an opportunity to give back to the community by our Ottawa office. And you know what you did this year, and I know you didn't have any way to do it, but you made it the coldest night of the year, the snowball this year, and of course I'm in my gala dress thinking I'm all fancy, and I'm like trucking my way because it was so cold. But I thought it was really ironic that it was so cold, because we were all there to raise money for the Snowsuit Fund. It's hard to raise money for snowsuits in 35-degree weather, so it helps when it's cold, and it really brings home the message. If you were cold getting from your car to the event, you can just imagine how cold it is for a kid to walk to school every day. 100%. What message would you share to anyone that maybe has not been involved with the Snowsuit Fund before? Well, I'd say a couple of things. First of all, we want to get the message out that we're out there. We serve a big group of the community. We gave out 16,500 snowsuits last year. But if you have a family that you think can use our services, please let them know that we're out there. We want to give out more snowsuits. Our goal in the next couple of years, or my goal as chair, is to expand the number of snowsuits that we give out to the community. And if you want to volunteer, we have opportunities to volunteer. And we've got a lot of events that you can, if you want to donate, you can donate directly on our website, or you can participate in some of our key events throughout the year. There's the Rogers 50/50 campaign that will be Snowball will be in February this year. We've got a dinner party on the box, in a box, which we sell out to the community. So we've got a number of keynote events throughout the year, and we really, those are all ways that you can participate and have fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you can give us money, we'll take it.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
if you want to do it by buying a raffle ticket through the 50/50 or showing up at the Snowball in February, so much the better. We're happy to get support that way
I love
too.
that you've given everybody an opportunity to contribute, you know,
Right.
whether they're contributing $5 or they're going
For
to the
sure.
Snowball or they're buying tickets, whatever it is. You've really galvanized the city. And I think about new Canadians as well, arriving here and not understanding how cold it is here. And
Right.
there's the Snowsuit Fund to sort of catch a family and say, we got you, you know, we're going to take care.
Yeah, and even if it's time, we appreciate the time that people can volunteer. A lot of the people that help us out are past clients, including one of our board members. So no amount is too small. We'll gladly take it, and if money isn't possible, we'll take your time.
Time, talent, and treasure, my friend.
Exactly.
You're giving it all, which is great. Thank
Thank
you
you
so much, Martin. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Absolutely. We're going to learn more about the Snowsuit Fund today. Martin Mass, of course, joining us. Lots of great guests coming up. You'll want to stay right here for an hour to give. And we're back on an hour to give. I'm Sam Laprade. We're talking all about the Snowsuit Fund today. And of course, the Snowsuit Fund of Ottawa has impacted many, many families. We're going to hear the story of the wonderful Stephanie Plante. Hello, how are you, Councillor?
I didn't pay you to say that.
No,
but
no,
thank you
no,
so
it's
much
all
for
good.
having me.
Councillor Stephanie Plante. I know it's been a couple of years, but are you used to the title yet?
No, not at all.
No.
You know, and I still, you know, I'm Steph or Stephanie or whatever,
Yeah.
but sometimes when people say counselor, I kind of go, oh, me, oh, yes, okay, yes, hi, how can I help you?
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah.
it's, you know, I've been involved in my community for a long, long time. It'll actually be 20 years this August since I moved to Rideau Vanier. So,
Amazing.
yeah, I love it very much.
So the councillor, Ward 12, Rideau Vanier, you're right in there.
Yeah.
When I was told today someone was going to come and share their story about the Snowsuit Fund, and then they said, guess what, Sam? It's Stephanie Plante. And I thought, well, I love spending time with Stephanie, but your story is very different than people may think. Take me back.
Yeah, so I would say probably about 2015, I had just a personal setback in my life. I became a single mom all of a sudden, and I wouldn't say I had a bad salary at the time. It was probably about $50,000, but when 3/4 of your rent is going towards, you know, that money, and when, you know, groceries and events on top of it, and at the time I had legal proceedings as well, it can add up. It can add up quite quickly. And so for me, it was important, obviously, that my son not feel different, right? That he go to school, he have the same childhood as a child in Barrhaven, a child in Orleans, a child in Canada, and the Snowsuit Fund was there for us when we needed it. And I think the important thing, you know, because we're going to hear so many wonderful stories today, is like anybody can have a setback. Anybody can have a time in their life when they just need extra help. And, you know, I'm from the Windsor area. That is 9 hours away. I don't have a family that is right here who can support me. And at the time, my son was like 4 or 5 years old. And so the Snowsuit Fund was there for us, and I am eternally grateful.
And you've brought something up that I think is really, really important to sort of stop and pause, is that anybody can have a setback.
Right.
And you mentioned communities like Barrhaven, and, you know, you think about Canada and Stittsville
Yep.
and Orleans and Vanier and everywhere in between. I think a lot of families have found themselves in a situation where they look at themselves or they think about the kids in the winter that's coming, and they think, how are we going to do it?
Right.
And they really, really struggle. and they may feel a bit shy to reach out.
Right.
And I really want to talk about that piece today because were you shy to reach out?
I would say it wasn't that I was shy to reach out. I just didn't know where to reach out because I didn't meet that threshold to have like a social worker or be on ODSP, and I certainly wasn't someone who could just walk in a store and buy a snowsuit. That was absolutely beyond my reach. So I actually found out about it through like most things, a mom's Facebook group.
I hear you. Yeah.
I was just asking for my son's size, and someone said, "Oh, have you tried the Snowsuit Fund? Have you checked them out? Snowsuit Fund? Will you check them out?" And I did check them out. And what it is it's what we refer in the social service community as low barrier. So I was able to access something without having to give like my DNA, my bone marrow,
Right.
because that is a barrier for some people. Even just
Agreed.
filling out forms when you do shift work, for example, or when English isn't your first language. And so we used the Snowsuit Fund, I believe, for 3 years, and I can tell you it was a wonderful experience. There was talk about having that opportunity to sort of pick out your own snowsuits. When you're 4 or 5 years old, you don't know that it's not a Costco or the Bay or anything else. And so, and what I loved, I'm just going to tell a quick anecdote, because when we went for the first time, there was a family that had just arrived in Canada from Burundi, and they actually didn't know what like toques and mittens were. So they were like looking at these things going, what do we do with them? This was like, late November. And I was like, oh, just wait.
Yes.
You're going to need them.
Yeah.
So everybody kind of has their own Snowsuit Fund story, and ours is, I would say, pretty typical, but it's definitely something I'm hoping to give back in my role as the counselor and sort of highlight the wonderful work they do, especially in my community.
Well, and I think that's what, even just sharing your story today, because I'm sure people are tuning in today going, but she's a city councilor and she's very successful and she's connected, but even you had to be pointed the way.
Absolutely,
on how to get there, and now the opportunity to give back. And I've interviewed people involved in the Snowsuit Fund for close to a decade, and every single person that has a story like you talk about. What are you seeing particularly in your ward, and then speak about the city overall in terms of the need in this community?
So I would say on the children's aspect, I mean, we can talk about adult homelessness another time, but I have lots of children that live in motels. I have children that are overhoused, meaning there are several generations living under one roof, and we have people living precariously. So they're living with a friend, or they're living in an apartment, and they only have month-to-month leases, or they're on an Airbnb, and so they don't really have the same protections as renters. And so I have found for them, when I talk to people about the Snowsuit Fund, it's just a certainty, right? It's there every single year. It's a place they can go. They know exactly what they're going to get. They know exactly that. Sometimes they see the same people year after year behind the counter. They know when it opens. And so that to me is something I really like. It's because people know it's something that they can rely on year after year. We have a lot of uncertainty in this world. The Snowsuit Fund is something people can depend on, as well as we know the cold weather will come. Despite what everyone says, the cold weather will be here, and you're going to need a snowsuit. And
when you think back to the relief that you had as a mom, because I know even for myself, I have a daughter, and if you can't provide them with something, I found it weighs. Yep. It weighs on families.
Yep.
So talk to me a little bit about the relief that you felt.
Yeah, and it's not just the relief of your child having a snowsuit, and they don't look different at school. They have something new. They have something that looks like their peers. I remember my son. I'm sure they go through a growth spurt, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah, and it was like just over Christmas, and so I remember reaching out to them in January and being like, "Hi, I know we just got this a month ago. I'm not kidding. There's been a growth spurt, and there was no questions asked. I got another snowsuit, and we were able to get the matching one. It's those little things I think that make childhood normalized. They make it special. And nobody in that situation sort of questioned me or said, "What do you mean he grew?" It's like, I fed them. That's what they do, right?
Yes.
Like that's what happens. Yeah. And I would say too, what was important for me is like it's not. Don't get me wrong. I love secondhand stores. All this is secondhand stores. I secondhand shop all the time. But the way the store is organized is very easy for parents to understand, even if you don't speak English. So you walk in, you kind of see the sizing, you see the different colors. It's not kind of in a big box and you got to rifle through things, and then they say, "Do you need mittens? Do you need toques?" So you can literally walk out of there and go build an igloo or go build a snowman. Like everything is just ready to go, and it's almost like a flick of a switch. They are the pros. They really are.
And we talked the words earlier, dignity of choice. Right. Dignity of choice is everything.
Yep.
And so that was an important part for your family as well.
Absolutely. And even there wasn't like, okay, there's this one. I know when people sort of provide social services, it can sometimes be complicated, especially when you work, because it's like, oh, they're only open from 8:30 to 8:45, and then you have 10 minutes, and then, you know, because they do rely on volunteers.
Right.
The Snowsuit Fund, at least when we were accessing it, they had very accessible hours for you to go in and pick something out, because sometimes it was only late in the afternoon where I could go. And I remember one year we even had to walk from our location in Sandy Hill all the way to Overbrook to get it, but we just made an adventure out of it. You're getting your new snowsuit, let's go, I'll grab you a hot chocolate along the way. So there is ways to make it fun, and let me tell you, with the Snowsuit Fund, there's no shortage of cookie days, there's no shortage of golf tournaments, and so everything is sort of keeping the child, it's a child-centered perspective, which is something I can really appreciate, and something I really try to bring to my ward as the councillor now.
And when you think back to when you decided to run for this role, I mean, it's a big one. There's no two ways about it. But was this the lens that you wanted to bring?
Absolutely.
You know, not only as a single mom at the time and all of that, but you know, looking back on the life that you led, trying to make things better for those that are maybe experiencing it now.
Absolutely. As I'm very not shy about talking about housing, because the minute I was able to access affordable housing, it made 90% of the things of my life better in terms of affording groceries, being able to, you know, just figuring out bus routes, child being established at school. Like those, once, especially for women, housing is shown they can, you know, for example, leave an abusive relationship a lot easier if housing is available. So that perspective I brought, and also I would say we are a very child-friendly office. We aren't shy about it. We were the first office to do a kids budget, so we go to schools to talk about the city budget and ask kids what they want to see. We're actually going to be releasing our kids budget very soon. It's not released yet. We're going to be doing a partnership with an embassy to put some tiny forests. I have some of the most low-income schools in Canada, not just in Ottawa, but in Canada. Yeah, and we want to make sure those schools, again, they have the same opportunities like schools in the suburbs. So I feel very, very strongly that the kids of Rideau Vanier should have an awesome childhood. And I would encourage you, actually, at Halloween, we pedestrianize the market, and it's now for kids. They can run around, they go store to store, and they collect candy. For some of them, it's their first time doing Halloween, so I would love to have you come and see it in person. It's pretty wild.
I love it. I'll dress up like Sam Laprade. How does that sound? That sounds great. I think it's wonderful that you're brave to share your story, and I know you don't see it that way, but I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome that you would come in and share, because I think you're breaking down maybe a lot of barriers for others that may think that it's you know, beyond their reach to ask for help.
Yeah, and I think it's important to look at these things, and I know you speak too a lot about homelessness. This is like a setback. It's not a permanent state in someone's life when they need help or when they need a hands up. Yeah, some people may need it more long term. Some people just need to understand how the system works. You know, I grew up in Canada. I still don't understand sometimes how the system works, but I'm now the person who has to explain it to people. And then again, the nice thing about the Snowsuit Fund, it's simple, it's easy, it's straightforward. It's one essential thing that every child needs over the holidays, and they do such a wonderful job, and they're just the pros.
And a big soft spot you can tell that you have for the organization, and all the ways that they raise money, whether it's, you know, Tim Hortons Smile Cookie.
Yeah,
you know,
I never say no to
50,
Smile
me either, clearly, me either. You know, 50-50, the snowball was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to next year's as well. So lots of opportunities to give back as the councillor as well, to get involved.
I look forward to it. I'm definitely putting myself forward to put me in that position.
Yeah.
I'm happy to help.
And do you share with your fellow councillors all the different great ways the Snowsuit Fund helps?
Absolutely. I was not shy about going office to office, and then for the ones who weren't there, they got it in their little mail cubbies. And I'm also just sharing my story. I'm actually one of the only councillors who rents. So I can also bring that perspective to council. Like, not everybody's a homeowner in the suburbs. A lot of people are living precariously, and I try to sort of put them in the context of what the situations are like for a lot of people, not just downtown, by the way. Some of our highest food bank usage is in the suburbs. So everybody's kind of feeling the pinch these days, so it's really good that we have places like the Snowsuit Fund, which are just like, look, we do this one thing, we do it exceptionally well, we do it for a lot of people, and it's kind of destigmatizing the aspect about what a snowsuit can mean for a child, because, by the way, they're not cheap. A good quality snowsuit is not cheap.
I know, believe me, and I think a lot of parents that maybe is buying a snowsuit that isn't that quality, they notice that it's gone within a couple of months. It's not, it's not going to meet the whole winter that it needs to here in Ottawa.
Yeah.
So investing in that great snowsuit, and those that have to go to the Snowsuit Fund, I think they get a great suit that's going to last as long as that child isn't growing too quickly.
Listen.
But that's okay too. That's okay too.
My 13-year-old's now almost 6 feet, so I'm just kind of like, what?
Yeah, it's all good. Stephanie, thank you so much.
Thank you for
Appreciate it
having
very
me.
much.
Merci.
Yeah, City Councillor. Stephanie Plante, she is the City Councillor for Ward 12, representing Rideau Vanier, talking all about the Snowsuit Fund. Don't worry, we're not done. Come on back to An Hour to Give. Well, I feel like I need to warn you, you are going to be inspired. Oscar Arietta is joining us today to talk about his story with the Snowsuit Fund of Ottawa. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
You've got such an interesting story. I'm going to get you to take me way back. How did you come to Canada?
Yeah, it was 2004. I have 3 siblings, and it was both my parents. All 6 of us came at the same time, so it was in the summer of 2004. So we were not yet accustomed to the weather, So it came November time. We were very curious as to what December, January, and February would look like, and so. Yeah, I mean, it was 2004 when that was that very first year when we came to Canada that we found out about the Snowsuit Fund. Mm-hmm. My dad at the time, had a job. My mom was not working at the time, so it was just, single income family, 4 kids.
Yeah.
All to the point where, everybody needed clothes. We wanted to be doing activities. We're all very much into soccer and just all kinds of sports, so we really... You can imagine the budget to do all these things was limited, and so obviously my dad was thinking, hey, how are we going to buy snowsuits for all 4 kids, Yeah. So he found out about the Snowsuit Fund, and we were all able to get snowsuits, I think it was 3 to 4 years in total. I may have been 3 years, and then, some of my siblings that were younger. So I'm the oldest of 4. I was 13 at the time. My other brother was 11, and then 10, and then 7 was the ages.
Do you remember it?
Yes. It's interesting. It's something that had sort of vanished a little bit from my memory, but then as I got involved, it all just came running back, with a big flashback of that metal door in that brick building that still is on Donald Street, going through that and just kind of seeing a lot of snowsuits in different colors, different shapes, different sizes, and that was a really special day. Probably at the time I didn't know what it meant to get a snowsuit and to be able to be warm and participate in winter activities, and then just sort of have a normal social development because you were not. There's no barriers to your development as a kid, and I think that's one of the things that's super, super important about the Snowsuit Fund and what it provides to kids and families.
100%, and being able to experience a Canadian winter, right? The tobogganing, the snowman making, all of that fun stuff, right? And experiencing that with your siblings and
it was
getting
amazing.
out there.
I have my fondest memories of the winter, thanks to the fact that we were warm and we were very much experiencing the winter for what it had to offer. Tobogganing, snowboarding on the back hill of our neighborhood. Just whatever we could do in the winter, just to stay occupied and to keep busy. And none of that would have been possible without the Snowsuit Fund and the help that we got.
And fast forward, you're a volunteer board member now. That perspective on the board, you bring something incredibly valuable to that team, and that is the experience of doing this with your family. Is that one of the reasons that you wanted to be part of the board?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the opportunity came in an interesting way. I happened to stumble upon one of the events, which was the Snowball Gala. I was there with my wife, who's an artist. She actually had provided some of the decorations that were part of the gala, and so I just was there to help install some of that stuff with her.
Yeah.
And I ran into some of the Snowsuit Fund members, and we got talking, and I was thinking, hey, I think this is very familiar to me. I can't put my finger quite on it, but I know this organization, and I know it's been part of my history. And as we got talking about it, it came back to me, and the fact that, you know, we had been clients in the early years when we first came to Canada. So that's how it all started in my involvement with the Snowsuit Fund. They had asked me if, you know, I would consider joining the board, and for me it was a very easy decision to be able to give back in a bigger way. You know, I again, for a long time, hadn't considered how to help or when to help, and I just sort of found myself in a situation in my life where there was certain stability that allowed me to then be thinking outside of just myself and my family, right, and just be thinking about the community. So it kind of all came together at the right time, and yeah, I you know, for me, like I said, it was super easy to say yes. How can I help? You know, can I help in a bigger way? So that was very much the reasoning and the force behind joining the Snowsuit Fund board.
I love it. I love it. I think it's fantastic. And I think the opportunity for you to share your story today will inspire. I also think it's important that parents hear the perspective of a child many, many years later, that they look back on it with gratitude.
Yeah.
You know, there's no shame. It's gratitude. I love it.
I was asking my dad, you know, what he thought about the experience. You know, what we've been fortunate enough that my family, everybody's doing very well, and it's just a different situation. You know, when we first came to Canada, we've my parents are a success story in their own right, as are the kids, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. And I was asking my dad what he thought about the Snowsuit Fund, and you know, there was something very true about the fact that those $10 that you have to pay to get a Snowsuit Fund make you feel like you're not getting a free handout, but you're absolutely being supported by your community, and it's such a beautiful thing to reflect on. That my dad felt it was a very a choice with dignity. You know what I mean?
The word dignity keeps coming up.
Absolutely,
right?
It's such an important part of the whole ecosystem that surrounds the Snowsuit Fund.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. It's really important. I think people, you know, may not feel like they could reach out for help. I think you've just helped with that, in terms of just being able to share with them that it's done in such a dignified way. And the volunteers, I mean, you work with all of them. They're fantastic.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
They're the backbone of the organization, no doubt. We couldn't do what we do without them, so they're extremely important.
And now you're an engineer.
I am.
Look at you. So talk to me a little bit about what you do now.
I work for a warehouse automation company. We try to automate warehouses in today's day and age. Finding people that want to work in warehouses has become pretty tough. So there's a very stable industry, if you will, in automating warehouses using robots and other technology. So I'm a consultant for this company, and I work in you know, helping customers figure out what the right design for their automated warehouse would be. So that's kind of what I do.
Wow, look at you. And your siblings all found their calling as well?
Yeah, I think so. My other brother, Alex, the middle brother, he's an engineer. My sister is a social worker, and she's got her own business. And my youngest brother, he's in business as well, working in the finance side of things for EDC. So all have found, you know, their success stories in their own right, for sure.
And I love it. And Stephanie Plante, city councillor, suggested a little bit earlier in our chat today that sometimes going to the Snowsuit Fund, it's not your whole story. It's a page.
Yeah.
And a page that, you know, as you and her both look back on with incredible gratitude. And I think that's an important point as well.
Yeah, it's a full circle, right? I think it's communities like the Snowsuit Fund that help people develop into good community members that is only going to create that feedback loop, right? Those people that were helped by an organization are the ones that are going to be giving back to the community, in a different stage of life. So it's communities like the Snowsuit Fund really make this all possible, make this sort of positive, pay it forward type of loop, which is awesome, which is why I love being part of this organization.
And being a board member, and I know board members, they come and go, and that's good governance to have that. It inspires somebody to maybe be a board member someday.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the more perspective we can get, or the more variety and perspectives that we can get into the board member, I think the more effective we're going to be as a board, just covering the different needs that are out there.
Agreed. Having people that have had an experience, and then you've got business people at the table, you've got other volunteers. I think it's great to have that kind of experience.
Oh yeah, it's an incredible group of people that are sitting on the board. I learn from them every board meeting. So I feel like I almost feel like a bit of an imposter, just being there, so it's great to be in that environment, and it's a great opportunity for a young guy like myself, and if I'm in a situation where I can provide that for somebody else, I absolutely will.
So tell me about that moment you shared with your wife, that you had maybe, how everything had come full circle. She's helping out at this event, and it was an organization that had helped your family. Do you remember that conversation with your wife?
Yeah, it sort of kind of happened at the same time as I was talking to, I believe it might have been Karen or Whitney, and she was there. And so we were talking about it, and it just sort of kind of all clicked together. I was saying, yes, 2004 through 2007, we had snowsuits from the Snowsuit Fund, and they were great. She was very surprised, but at the same time, she also understands, because she's also a new immigrant to the country. She's only been here for 5 years, so she can see, why there would be a need for the community, especially with snowsuits. So it all kind of made sense, but it was a kind of a funny coincidence, really, just that we were all there.
I love it. I think there's a reason for everything, honestly. I think that's beautiful that connection was made that night, and that you've got this wonderful opportunity. Lots of great events happen, of course, and look forward to hearing more about your story as we journey on and get to know each other. Thank you so much. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks so much, Sam.
Yeah, appreciate it. Lots of great guests coming up today. Of course, Oscar sharing his story today. We're going to meet someone else when we come back. Of course, the Snowsuit Fund of Ottawa represents 16,500 people getting snowsuits every single year. It's such an important organization in our community. If you can reach out and help, definitely do that. And if you reach out and need help, they can take care of you as well. I'm Sam Laprade. We're coming back on An Hour to Give. Thank you so much. And we're back on An Hour to Give. I'm Sam Laprade. Erin McAvoy is joining us, as well as Julie Lloyd. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. You're thinking about a big golf tournament to support, of course, the beautiful Snowsuit Fund. Tell us a little bit how you got involved here.
Yeah, with the golf tournament or with CLV Group?
Yeah, both. Let's start with CLV Group.
Yeah, I was actually lucky enough to do my university co-op terms with CLV Group, so I've been a part of the family since I was about 18 years old.
Wow.
And for all of those years except for one, because of COVID, we have been doing the golf tournament. So
It's incredible.
yeah,
it's
it's gotten very big, very fast.
Absolutely. And tell us how you got involved with Endurance.
I actually started with CLV Group in 2010, and I now work for Interrun, so I've been part of the group for about 14 years now.
Wow, that's amazing. So let's talk about the big golf tournament, because it is a favorite in this city, the Mike McCann Charity Golf Tournament. This is a tournament that sells out every year. It is incredibly popular, and you raise a lot of money, and some of that has gone back to the Snowsuit Fund.
Yeah. So the golf tournament originally started in 1998, I think, Julie?
Yes.
So it'd be the 24th year this year, minus those COVID years. And it's kind of, it's taken on a life of its own a little bit. So last year we actually raised $1.66 million for the communities we operate in. Wow. Yeah, so it definitely has grown a lot, and people fly out from all over Canada. We have family, friends, partners, contractors that come out for this event, and people get so excited, and our staff gets so excited, and everyone is involved. It's a huge community effort, and then all the money goes back to the community as well, and of course the Snowsuit Fund.
And it's grown over the years. So how many golfers will you have that day, Julie?
I honestly don't have an answer to that question, but you'll probably know better than I will.
Yeah, last year we had about 500, 400 and something. So here's hoping. We just opened registration, but hopefully people will show up the same this year.
For sure.
Yeah.
Big day, September the 19th, 2024. So it's just around the corner, and it's something you cannot wait, right? You have to get in there.
We can't, if you want to sponsor or get involved, you can't wait. You have to do it now. It's a huge day. It's a huge day to honor Mike McCann, who was the driving force of this tournament for so many years. It's been named after him now as of 2019. It was named after Mike McCann, and he just was magnetic. He was, the driving force behind everything that we have now. That what it is today is all because of Mike McCann. So we're just trying to, honor his legacy.
Well, you're doing a beautiful job, and when I think about the numbers, because I love talking numbers because it really does impact families. So, $200,000. The result, 4,000 snowsuits. I can't even picture. We used to have about 2 or 3 in the house at all times, but 4,000, I can't imagine.
Yeah. 4,000 kids.
Impact all those kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that feel?
I think it's pretty incredible.
It's incredible.
We have a huge team across the country, and every single person that is involved with us and with the people that support this tournament are so deeply passionate about the communities that we operate in. Like, that is the underlying force, and that is Mike McCann, and that's what we try to embody with this tournament.
Yeah.
So being able to create something that gives back to that many people and makes such an impact, like a snowsuit is a necessity.
It is. Now, you ladies are much younger than I am, but I still think back to the day where, Mom would get me in my snowsuit. I lived in Deep River, Ontario, the coldest place on the planet, it felt like, and she'd get me all bundled up. And back in my day, they'd kind of throw you outside, and you came out when it was dark out. You came back inside when it was dark. Do you even remember when you were little, like what it was like to kind of be out there playing with your friends and going off to school and having those recess times?
Absolutely. So I grew up in the same. I got put outside in the morning, and you came back when it was dark. And being able to participate in activities with my friends, skating on the outdoor rink, tobogganing, doing all those things. It was important to be warm, and it was cold. It was very cold, and I have a son now who's 8 years old, and we have a snowsuit. He goes out and he toboggans, and he's creating those core memories, and having fun in the winter outside with his friends, and he's warm.
I love that. I love that. Do you remember when you were a kid?
Yeah, what I remember that sticks out, like having heard you just talk about it, is that we would get on the school bus in the morning, and the seats on the school bus would be frozen solid. They're kind of squishy.
Yes.
No, they would be completely frozen solid, and it would be so cold on there. And so for a child to walk to the bus stop, wait for the bus, get on the bus, and I mean, obviously it's 40 degrees in Ottawa right now, but in the winter, like, we forget how absolutely icy cold it is in the morning. And so I definitely remember those times.
I'm sending good vibes for a positive, sunny, beautiful day on September the 19th.
Thank you.
But even on that date, even though you're going to have a beautiful golf day, we do think forward to those, January, February days. What's the vibe of the tournament? Because we've all heard great things about the tournament. Give me the vibe.
It's electric.
Is it?
Would that be the word?
That's our favorite word. It's electric.
It's
I love
electric.
it.
It's just, you show up, you have coffee, you register. Everybody is happy to be there. Everybody wants to participate. They want to donate. They want to participate in our silent auction, our live auction. And everybody is just so happy. All the volunteers, all the people that show up to golf, we're such a big group, and everybody just comes together and it's really incredible. It's really incredible. I'm humbled that I've been able to be a part of it for so many years.
Eh?
Yeah.
Because they're a lot of work, and so I love that you both kind of answered that jointly because of the excitement of the event. Because there's a lot of people that organize events. By the time the event day comes, they're like exhausted, but it sounds like it just boosts you up that day.
100%. It's like you get to that day and all that work that was put into it. It could not be more worth it when you see the organizations that we can support and the people that come and spend the day with us and that are as passionate about it as we are. I don't think there's any better feeling. We always say it's literally our favorite day of the year.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the day after, we look forward to the next one.
Yeah, we start
eh?
planning the very next day.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And when you see, and hear numbers like this and see the impact in the community, does it kind of bolster those days where maybe it'd be a long day at work, maybe?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we get to be a part of presenting donations to the different charities, and we all get to be a part of that. And we see where the money is going. And we're just so fortunate to be able to be a part of it and volunteer our time. We all go above and beyond our day-to-day jobs to participate and help in this tournament. So we all just love to give back. We embody, Mike McCann. Those of us that knew him, we just want to, honor him.
Did you have a chance to meet Mike?
I did not have a chance to meet Mike, but the way that the people on our team and in our community speak about Mike and work for this tournament and put this tournament on it, it always feels like you did or that you do, because every single person speaks so highly of him, and this tournament is his legacy, and it's an incredible tournament, and it means so much to so many people, so that makes me feel like I know.
What an incredible legacy. To think that somebody had that kind of impact, and then each year people get galvanized to come together and have that. How does that feel for you, Julie?
It feels incredible. I think I've said that a few times now, but it's hard even to put into words, just to be able to be a part of it and to be able to give back to our communities. I think it's I'm fortunate to be part of an organization that gives me that opportunity.
So I'm going to give some more numbers now. And I had to get my glasses on. I'm an old lady now. I had to get my glasses on. $8.1 million for local organizations. Can we just pause? $8.1 million. It's remarkable. Including a record-setting, you mentioned $1.66 million in 2023, one of Canada's largest private charity events, and the fact you've chosen the Snowsuit Fund to be one of those. How are those decisions made?
I think for us, we as a company, as a community, we're really, really invested in the regions that we operate in and giving back to them. And so knowing what the Snowsuit Fund does for the communities and the families in Ottawa, like we said, a snowsuit's a necessity. And thinking about it, it's like, people have to choose between putting food on the table or paying their bills or getting a snowsuit, and that's just not a choice that anyone should ever have to make. And so for us, it's about being able to support those families and hopefully growing the donation year after year.
Mm-hmm. What's your regular day job, Julie? I know we're chatting all about the golf tournament, but I know you've got another job. What do you do?
I'm a paralegal, and I lead our legal team for in Trenton.
That's
It's my
fantastic.
day job, yeah.
And I know you have a normal job too. And tell me a little bit about CLV.
So I work in marketing and communications for CLV. So I'm able to sort of have a hand in all the different business units that we have. CLV's pretty broad in the real estate asset management world, so it's very exciting.
And I don't even know if you two have noticed this, and I've never said this to Mike McGann before, which of course the head of CLV, but I think this really helps with your corporate culture. Have you ever thought about it like that, Julie?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been within the organization for so many years, and over the years, it's definitely grown, and more people get involved. They need more volunteers. We have ample opportunity to go out and volunteer and take that time to give back to our communities, and it just fosters a sense of community. We're just, I don't know if I want to use the word family, but we're
There's a work family. That's okay.
It really is.
And we all want to spend time together and give back to our communities together and help people together.
Just so you know, not every corporation's like that, right? It's very special.
It really is. Our executive leadership and our leadership team, eat, sleep, breathe this. It's not just one event. It's not just one day out of the year. Mike, Oz, Kurt, all the names that you've mentioned, like they embody this on a regular basis, and it inspires us to keep doing that, and that's what keeps us so close. And people will come, like you said, you've been there for 10 years. I started when I was in university, and there's just nothing like it. It really feels like a family. You know, you're not supposed to say that because a corporation's not supposed to be like a family, but it really feels that way.
Yeah, no, it's great. So September 19th is the big day. Where are we going, Julie, to get all the deets?
You can go to, actually, you know what? I'm going to get
Yeah,
Erin
sure.
to answer that
Erin, you
because
tell
she's
me.
our communications specialist.
Yeah, for sure.
CLVCharityGolf.com
Okay.
for all the registration information and everything, all the different packages. And then you can follow us at CLV Group on LinkedIn and Instagram. We're posting all the regular updates there as well.
Yeah, so that's why you make a great team. That's all
Yeah.
good. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Erin and Julie, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
for
me.
having
Appreciate
us.
it. Absolutely. Lots of great information today about the Snowsuit Fund. And I know there's lots of different ways that you can get involved. We've shared many of them today, from 50-50 to the snowball to, of course, this wonderful tournament that's happening on September the 19th, the Mike McCann Golf Tournament. You can visit CLV for all the details. I wanted to say a special thank you to all of the volunteers at the Snowsuit Fund. I know how hard you all work to make sure that all those little ones are bundled up nice and warm in the winter time. So thank you so much for everything that you do. And of course, everything to the small but mighty team led by Joanne for all the wonderful work that she does. Couldn't do it without the sponsors. A big shout out, of course, to Giant Tiger, to Tim Hortons, and to all of our wonderful sponsors for the Snowsuit Fund as well. I'm Sam Laprade. This has been An Hour to Give. Support the Snowsuit Fund, everyone. Take care.